What's going on, guys? Cinchin Half Milk with Half Milk YGO here, and I've been trying to do this video. I've actually done this video already, like once, but it was in the rain, and a bunch of semi trucks are driving by. I may try to put a little picture of that here. We'll see. But basically, you could barely hear me. I sounded like I was kind of like in a tin box, and the rain didn't help any. But basically, this is just going to be a recap, not of the Nats weekend. I've got a little video I'm making for that. But it'll be just a kind of recap of kind of what happened and what made Nationals probably the worst Nats trip for me ever. On our way back from Nats, we had a lot of issues with our driver, but nothing we thought we couldn't handle, and nothing that was like too extreme. Just some small things here and there. But on our way back, our driver, who had not slept in 4 total days, started dozing off at the wheel. I had just fallen asleep for a nap when all this started beginning, so it woke me up. And right before I had woken up, he had fallen asleep to the point where one of the guys with us had to reach up in the front seat, grab the steering wheel, and pull him back. So that was kind of crazy. Him and his brother had, like I said, lots of conflict at the beginning. His brother was a good guy, very what's the word? Non-combative. Just didn't want to get involved in any of it. You could just tell the guy was kind of getting groggy and everything, and it started really affecting him on our way back. But he was acting super weird, didn't want anyone to touch his car, which is fine. Not really looking forward to driving, when you've just finished a long weekend and everything anyway. So, but on our way back, he starts dozing off again. So we make him pull over, and we stop at a rest stop, and everything seems really chill there. Everything's fine. So he looks like he's got us a second win, and I'm like, if you really need anyone to drive, I've got you. Blah blah. Everything seems fine. He's like, yeah, dude, that's awesome. That's cool. It's cool. So we start driving again. He starts dozing off some more. We're waking him up here and there. We're like, come on, man. We can just switch out. It's not a big deal. This is not worth it. Blah, blah, blah. He's like, no, I'm good. I'm good. So he almost dozes off at one point and goes into oncoming traffic. And so we had to, correct the wheel again. And we're like, look, let's just stop. Let's just stop. We'll stop up here at the rest stop. So we do. And I'm like, how about we stop? You can either take a nap or, I can drive for a little bit. Then you can nap. We'll just get, going down the road a little bit, just enough to kind of refresh you. I know you're tired. You have to be 4 days awake. That's crazy. And we can just chill out for a minute. And he's like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. We'll do that. So we get there, and then, of course, the plans change. It's no longer that we're doing that. Now we're going to be letting him drive again. And I'm like, I'm not comfortable with that. And then right before he gets in the car, I noticed that there's a large sum of illegal substances that I was not aware of getting into the vehicle. So I'm now nervous because he's been speeding back and forth. He's been dozing off and things like that. Not really a safe situation. And now I'm uncomfortable. Not happy about the situation. Not what I was expecting. Not what I was planning for. But I'm like, okay, we're not very far out. We just got to get a little bit to go. But it starts pouring rain at this point. It's been raining, but it starts pouring rain at this point. And it was dry in this area a little bit prior. So all the oils are up on the road and everything. Everyone's driving kind of slower. But he starts yelling at people as we're passing them. Maybe 10 minutes down the road. And I'm already on edge because of everything. But he starts yelling at people as we're passing them and things of that nature. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? He doesn't reply. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Starts punching his steering wheel. And I'm like, what's going on? And, no reply. So we're driving. And he starts drifting a little bit. And I'm like, are you awake, buddy? And he's like, no, I'm fine. And he goes into oncoming traffic. I'm like, bro. So he straightens up. And then... And at this point, things are getting a little hectic. His attitude has gotten really, really manic, and it's almost like he's having an episode or a mental breakdown. I don't know what's going on, and I'm like, man, is everything all right? You got your back. We can switch out. It's not a big deal. I don't particularly want to drive, but I will because let's if you got to sleep, let's rest. We can pull over. It's not a big deal. Let's just calm down. And he's freaking out, and he's like, oh my god, fuck this, and he starts screaming, fuck, and he starts punching the steering column over and over and over again. And at this point, we hit 100 miles an hour. We're creeping up to 120, and I'm like, bro, you gotta stop. What's going on, man? What's going on? And the guy next to me is like, dude, you need to fucking slow down. Stop now. Stop the car. Stop. And he starts, freaking out and screaming over and over again at the steering wheel some more, you know what I mean? And then swerving into traffic, swerving at cars, and dipping in and out of things. And it's just we're like, bro, please, this is not worth it. What's going on? And it really seemed like in that moment, he didn't want to be here anymore. You know what I mean? He wanted to uninstall. He was just ready, and he didn't care who was with him. I don't know what's going on. And he's freaking out. I mean, absolutely raging. And we finally get him to stop. And before we get to this next point, I just want to stop and say, yes, it was dumb to get in the car with him to begin with. Obviously, our only way home, we tried to force him to sleep. He would not. Very combative to begin with. about that whole situation. But he seemed okay. He seemed fine. His brother assured us that he thought he had been taking naps. We would later learn that he was climbing trees and sitting in the trees all night, watching people come in and out of our hotel room, which, to add to the whole it being the worst Nats trip ever, as we get there and pull in, people are being arrested. We had to walk around people being arrested into the lobby of the hotel, which was insane. But back to it, we start yelling at him to stop. He finally slows down. And we're like, okay, you got to stop the car. Just stop the car. We pull into one of the more notable Kentucky exits up in Lexington, and we all just pile out of the car. We all just pile out. There's a McDonald's and a Pilot right there, so we just run inside the McDonald's and the Pilot, and we're just like, okay, what the hell was that? What was that? And we're all trying to just like regroup, figure out what was going on, and in the meantime, his brother goes back outside, and his brother's paid for gas and everything. And I'm at this point like I'm done. I'm not going anywhere until homie sleeps. You know what I mean? Like he has to take a nap. This is insane. I don't know what that entire situation just was. But I was genuinely, I'm not doing it I'm not doing it justice, excuse me. And in the original video, even what little you can hear, I don't feel like I do it justice then either. But there was so much fear in the moments leading up to this. And like, I genuinely thought multiple times, this is it. I'm dead. It's hard to put into words kind of like how extreme everything was and how fast we were going, like constantly. I don't think there was a point where we were under 90 miles an hour. Pouring rain, by the way, the entire time. Swerving at vehicles. And it's not like just a little bit like in other people's lanes and then having to jerk himself back, going off into like almost hitting mediums, things like that. Anytime there was any kind of like mutual ground shared from like roads, he was in the other lane. And this is for hours. And we were begging him to stop. So at this point, we're like, we're done. So his brother goes out there to go pump the gas, but his brother has locked us out now, the driver. And I'm like, okay, what? So we all go out there because, we want to get some chargers. We want to get like, some things. We just want to chill out inside. We want him to take a nap. And we just want to go chill out inside, charge our stuff up, just get our stuff, ready and not just be sitting there for a couple hours. But he's locked us out. And we're like, okay, can we please get our stuff? And he looks at us, still not falling asleep or anything. He's just sitting there and he just looks at us and stares at us. And we're like, hey, we just want to get our stuff out. We want some chargers and things like that. We want you to take a nap. We want to just go inside and get some food. Won't let us in. And he pretends like he's asleep. And we're just like, okay, well, this sucks. So we're just kind of sitting there. And in the process, he opens the door behind us, so we turn around and look at him, and he's like, I don't remember what he said at this point, but he said something, and we're like, what? And then he shuts the door, and the car alarm's going off, and eventually it stops, so we assume he got the keys and just turned it off. So we're sitting there, and I'm just like, hopefully he will unlock the doors, because he's not asleep, and he's not trying to go to sleep, he's just sitting there with his eyes open, staring. And we're like, we just want to get our stuff. So he opens the door again, and this time the car alarm starts blaring again. And he starts screaming, where are my fucking keys? And we're like, what? What do you mean, where are your keys? In your pocket or in the ignition, I assume? And he's like, where are my fucking keys? And he starts screaming it over and over and over again. He starts screaming at the top of his lungs. People all around us starting to back up. And at this point, I'm exhausted. I literally just spent the last 2 hours feeling like I was about to die. And like that was going to be the end of my life. He was swerving into like oncoming traffic. He was swerving into like mediums. He was almost going into ditches. We were drifting at some points. The car was bouncing off the road. Horrible experience. I was done and I was burnt. So he finishes up, finds his keys because he had them the whole time. And I just walk up to the window and I'm like, unlock the door now. Unlock the door now. I'm getting my stuff out. Unlock the door. So I grab everything I own. The cops have to be on their way at this point. There's just, in my mind, there's just no way he's prior, and I've missed this, I apologize. Prior to him locking the door, he had a screaming match with his brother because his brother asked him to take a nap before we left. I mean, like almost fist fight with his brother, who's just like, whoa, dude, calm down. Again, his brother's a wonderful person. I feel so bad for him being in the situation. I couldn't imagine my own brother doing this to me. I felt horrible for him in that situation. But he's already started that altercation in the parking lot. He's now, screamed, set his car alarm off multiple times, has attacked other people. And I'm just like, no, there's no way. We're going to end up going to jail. Dude has got stuff in his car that he's not supposed to and did not say a word to any of us. I am not about this. This is like becoming a nightmare. This is becoming like a movie, you know what I mean? It's like a movie script, and I'm not about it, and it was pretty awful in that respect. So I grab my stuff and I go in the McDonald's and I just tell his brother who follows me in, I'm done. Like when he's taking a nap and he's rested, I will get back in the car. I'm not doing it a minute sooner. He's put our life at risk multiple times. I genuinely, like I said, thought I was going to die. I thought that was it. That was going to be the end. of my run. That would be like that was it. That was it. That was the end of it. Now, and I typed up all these messages too while we were driving. We were begging him to slow down, begging him to stop. Just freaking out. Like I was like white knuckling his steering column or his the backs of his seats, and I was so exhausted afterwards. I was so exhausted from doing it for so long. But I was just done, dude. It was just too much. I was so tired. So I started charging my stuff up, and they try to go talk to him, and he refuses to let anyone drive. He refuses to take a nap. He demands to leave right then. Like he was like, "We have to go now. We got to go now." And I'm like, "No, I am not getting back on the road. It's pouring rain. Homie is not sleeping, and we're finding out that those naps didn't actually happen. He was awake for 4 solid days. It's no, no, no." And we tell him that, and we try to talk to him, try to make multiple options and multiple situations where he felt comfortable, and all this stuff. And eventually, after he's like attacked people in the parking lot, and again, I'm at this point nervous, and I have to tell the people I'm with him, like, if the cops come, I'm not with you guys. I'm just passing through. Like I'm waiting on my next ride, or I'm waiting to go down to the bus stop down the street because there's one down the road. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to jail for what all this is. Like I've been in a horrible space the entire trip here. I've felt like I've been in fear for my life for multiple reasons, and then like my life has been put at danger and at risk. We hit 120 miles an hour on his second attempt, and we had I think we maintained 108 for a solid 45 minutes before he actually slowed down like we were asking him to. And I was just so exhausted, just so exhausted. And I just went outside and said, "Look, either you can let me drive. It's like 2 hours. It's like 2 hours, 30 minutes to where I need to be dropped off. I've got a ride waiting for me. They will be there at exactly 10 minutes past when we get there," which at this point, probably not. But I'm like, it'll be fine. And then you can take your car and go home. You'll be rested. It'll be cool. Or you can let Raymond drive, or you can nap in the passenger seat and we'll switch when you wake up. Or you can go lay down right now and go take a nap. Or I'm not getting back in your car. Like, this is it. This is too much. You've done too much to these people, and it is wrong for us to continue taking this. And he goes, "Well, I guess you'll enjoy your walk home." And I was like, "Okay, thanks, man. I appreciate that." And he got in his car, and he drove off, and he left us there, and it was pouring rain. I think it was like 5 something in the morning. And I reached out to the Yu-Gi-Oh community, and very receptive. Everyone, we had like I think several backup rides planned out for people either coming later from Nats or for people in the area getting off work, things like that. Super supportive. I cannot thank you guys enough. Thank you guys so much for that. So it was a nightmare. I think we left finally at 11 o'clock, maybe 10:30, 10:40. I don't remember exactly. I think we finally got on the road. I made a post with a picture in Zodiac. It was just an awful experience. It was just so awful. I mean, I don't feel like I'm doing it justice. It genuinely felt like he had gone through a psychotic break, and in that moment he was just done with life. He there was a lot of stuff going on leading up to the trip itself where he was just talking and venting about at-home stuff, and I was really receptive of that. I thought that maybe we were really getting to kind of help him out, or he was able to vent a little bit, and that was good for him. But it just, I guess maybe it was just too built up or whatever the case. And like I really can't tell you what happened in his mind. I can't. None of it made sense to me. Like none of it made sense to me at all. There was no logic. And it's like, I'm not even trying to be dismissive or rude when I say this, but no one really wants to drive your like 2008 like Chevy Spark. I'm sorry, and that wasn't in anyone's prerogative list, but we just wanted to get home safely. And that was the biggest thing. It was just we just wanted to get home safely. And it sucks that we basically filled his tank up, and then, which ended up happening, we filled his tank up, expecting him to go to sleep, and he didn't. And he just left with a full tank of gas. And I was like, I want my gas money back, and that never happened. It would have put his brother out, which he also was there. He left his brother sitting on the side of the road. So I wasn't going to do that. But awful situation. Awful experience. The NAS itself was awesome. Shout out to Michi. Shout out to Saul. Shout out to Dank Ritual. Shout out to a lot of people, actually. Cordero. Lots of really great people. David. A lot of good people made the weekend for me. Brandon, for sure. Thank you, Brandon. You really helped save the day. 100% humongous shout out, though. The one that I've been kind of saving up goes out to Baldemir. He really hooked me up at Nats. It was really looking like I wasn't going to get a Jaden signature. So between Brandon and Baldy, I got taken care of, and I'm so eternally grateful for those people. So check out the Cardboard Kings over on Facebook for some amazing deals on some amazing cards. I know they hooked me up at Nats. It was super awesome. Yeah, so I'm trying to recoup some of the money we lost on that trip. I obviously had to pay other people gas money and things like that to get back to where I was going. So if you'd want to make that Nats trip a little less awful, and it would really help me, unashamed and unbiased to listening, please subscribe. Please hit the thumbs up button. It helps. Comments help. Likes help. Everything helps. I really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for kind of letting me vent to all of this. I will try to edit and all that fun stuff. It's been a kind of a nightmare at home. As I gotta get home, a lot of other stuff tend to happen. When it rains, it pours. But I will try to edit the a little bit of the video in over here into this area. Not much will be there because again, you can't really understand me. But thank you guys for taking your time to watch the video. Thank you for your patience. There will be some vlogs coming up, some really cool stuff. I got a review that will probably drop tonight as well for Dank Rituals. They are my hands down favorite company of all time. Super, super awesome people. Thanks, guys.